Man. 2,000 subscribers. This is it. This is the 2K sub special video. We're going to be just talking, hanging out, just me and the lats. It's going to be a completely raw, unedited video. We're just going to get started. I'm going to have a quick little sip of water and then we're going to get straight into it because it's going to be a lot of me just yapping pretty much. And yeah, I hope you guys like this style. I'm really excited to do this. And yeah, let me have this sip and let's just get this ball rolling. Yeah, as I said, 2,000 subscribers. I'm just gonna kind of just talk about the journey, how we got to this point, why I started the channel, everything in between, and kind of like what the plans are going to be going forward now into the 2026 season, and kind of just talk with you all like I would with my friends. I've never done this type of style video where I just sit down, I talk, kind of be a little bit vulnerable in a sense where I'm going to talk about a little bit my personal life. And I just felt like this is a different way, a fun way of doing a video on the channel, especially because there's not much to talk about during this off season. We'll obviously get into that. And yeah, I mean, let's just get started on it pretty much. I'm already stumbling on my words with what I'm going to talk about, but first and foremost, we have to talk about the main topic at hand. 2,000 subs, guys. I'm so over the moon about it. That was the goal come the end of the season. We did hit it in the end, and it doesn't matter how we did it. Yeah, would have I loved to have us get there before the playoffs ended? Sure, but in the end, before 2026, we got to 2K subs, and for a channel like mine that is very niched and just talks about one club, and for the fact MLS is just a growing league and it's not like incredibly popular, I think it's just such a huge milestone. And I just over the moon to think about the fans that we've garnered, the community in a sense that we've built and created, and it's amazing. And it feels like a pretty cool dream goal that I've made happen. And in a sense, it's like almost like I have no regrets doing it, and it kind of fills my heart in a sense and just makes me happy. I love everything that we've built with this channel, and so I just want to say thanks. And yeah, it's definitely a very sick milestone to have hit, especially becoming one of the biggest MLS fan channels, because we kind of came into the fold pretty late. There was obviously We Are Austin TV. There's Atlanta United Fan TV, Top Bin 90, who covers Charlotte specifically. There's a lot of them. And we've, in a sense, shoehorned ourselves into that. And I think that's so sick. Revolutionized, in a way, like Sounders content, Sounders media. So for that, like, super happy that I was able to create something like that and kind of just change the scope of Sounders content and kind of bring something new that I think a lot of you guys have enjoyed. And so with that, yeah, we've hit the milestone. Super thrilled about that. I think with this video, you know, getting to that point is, I think, something I want to talk about, because not a lot of people know that I've been doing kind of this content shebang for like, what, I think it was, what, we're in 2026 now, since like 2019, I want to say. And a lot of you may not know that journey, because it's been a lot of like finding what works for me, what are my niches, how does content work, and things like that. Because it was not like just like so cut and dry, like I was like, start channel, we get to this point. It's not at all like that, because I was someone that never like studied or learned how to make videos or edit or do Photoshop. It was all self-taught, and I just taught myself. I watch YouTube videos on how to make YouTube videos, which is so ironic, but that's just kind of how it works. You can YouTube anything. And so, yeah, I mean, when it came to me starting this whole thing and kind of getting myself introduced to it, I was very shy. A lot of people might think, oh, this guy is like an extrovert, introvert. I don't really love like those terms like introvert, extrovert, because I think you can be outgoing and you can put yourself out there. It all just comes down to reps. It's like the same thing with like going to the gym. You build muscle by going consistently. Like if you want to go like talk to girls, like you got to just put yourself out there. And the more and more you kind of make a clown of yourself, the easier it gets and the more comfortable you get in your own skin. So it's like everyone is an introvert until you just can decide to become an extrovert. Like in a sense, like, yes, I'm a little bit of an introvert, but in another sense, I can be an extrovert. Like, I don't know. I'm just not like the biggest fan of putting that label, but I was very shy when I was growing up, especially as someone that was a first generation American to two Iranian parents that came here. I was learning English and Farsi at the same time, and I didn't know where kind of like my place was in life. Like there was things that I really, really liked, and I really like anime. I mean, you guys can see some of that influence in the background, the backdrop of my videos. And, you know, I wouldn't say I was a weeb in a sense, but that was something that helped kind of guide my passions, as weird as it is. Anime can be very motivating, especially like Naruto when I was growing up. I loved that show. I still do to this day, you know, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and I didn't know kind of where I fit in life till I got introduced to this sport very late. I got introduced to soccer when I was 12. So, and when I was 12, it was about 2012. And when I found out about the sport, I really loved it. Like, jeez, I fell in love with it. Watched the 2012 Champions League final between Chelsea and Bayern Munich. Fantasy land of a match. Like, that is something you'd see out of a book, a movie, and like I was witnessing. I was like, this is crazy. Then eventually watch my first Sounders game because if I'm gonna get into a sport, who's my local team? Like again, learning about it. When I learn about something that interests me, like I don't learn about something not to love it. Like when I love something, I love it to the death. Like I'm 1000% into it. Like for example, like you guys see like in my backdrop, you see Juice WRLD's in there. When I got introduced to his music in that period of my life, I loved his music. I really became uh like I guess deep dived into the artist and wanted to understand what was his come up, like the type of music, listening to his music, just everything in me, encompassing everything about it. And still to this day, like I still love Juice WRLD. I know he ended up passing away and whatnot, but saw him live twice. And yeah, this is basically the point I'm trying to make here is when I find out and learn about something that really piques my interest, I want to understand it to the 1000th percentile. So yeah, when it came to soccer, then I learned about the Sounders. I watched my first game, which was against the Galaxy, where Freddie scored that long shot. And I was like, oh my God, love this Freddie Montero, love this Sounders. I want to watch it. And then funnily enough, the first game I went to, it was during that season, was against the Galaxy, the second home game. We won 4-0, and I was like, I need to become a season ticket holder. 2013, we became a season ticket member, my dad and I, and went to games all the way up to, I think our last year was 2024. So we weren't season ticket members last year. We decided to cancel, and maybe I'll get into that a little bit later on into the video. But I started really becoming a fan. And so then when I went to college, which was kind of like the budding flower of my life, because in high school I was like this chubby, not good looking, low confident brown boy, Iranian boy. And so in college I kind of found out about myself. I went to community college, which was the best idea ever. If you guys have kids, universities are so overrated. Going to community college was the best idea ever. And so I got to find out a lot about myself. I really put myself out there. A lot of things kind of happened when I started going to college. I actually tore my ACL right before I graduated high school. And so that was the first injury I've ever endured in my life. First one. And it was a whirlwind because I wasn't really good at soccer, but I loved the sport. I got into it too late, and like my family's not very like athletic. So yeah, tearing my ACL was a big deal. And so when I started going to college, I kind of was like in a really bad state. So I was still trying to find out who I wanted to become. And that's really tough, I think, for a lot of people. And when I tore my ACL, I decided, I made a decision in my life. I kind of had like my first heartbreak in a sense, and then that's where Juice WRLD came into play. Because a friend of mine, when I had that first heartbreak, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get really fit. I'm gonna get in really good shape. Because you know what, like F them, like you know, like typical canon event type stuff. And so my friend introduced me to Juice WRLD, and I got in really good shape, and I started really putting myself out there when I started going to community college. And That's when like I got my first relationship. And then fast forward, this is kind of how the whole content thing comes into play here is when your first couple years of college, if you do know or don't know, you take like kind of general classes because you kind of have to when you're getting your AA, or even if you go to a university, you take general classes for your first 2 years for the most part, with some specifications, sprinkled in there. And I had a classmate of mine who saw, because it was a communication like presentation class, and I could present anything if it was about soccer. Anything, didn't matter. I might have just accidentally swatted my microphone there. I apologize if it made a weird noise. And I remember, I think one of the presentations I did was like, you have to debate two topics, give two sides of it. And I did like a Messi Ronaldo one. I know, super tacky, but it was the easiest way for me to get the least amount of work done for maximum gradage, because I knew so much about soccer. I could present anything about it. And then the classmate of mine, I didn't know he was a big soccer fan. He was a Tottenham fan. Ooh, I know. But he told me, came up to me, he's like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Like, I would love for you to be my co-host. I think you'd be great at it. And I was like, sick. I think I'm in, but what's a podcast? And so I learned about podcasting, about how there's this whole thing about how you can create your own media in a sense. You can create your own platform, your own presence, your own you. You don't have to become a pundit for Sky Sports or back then, what was it, like Root Sports and like, all these like NBCSN and things like that. You could be your own, you can create your own media. And so I started doing podcasting with him. Unfortunately, his priorities kind of changed. And so he was like, hey, if you want, you can keep continuing it. And I was like, you know what? I'll keep continuing it. I'll kind of make it onto my own thing. And then I decided, you know what, with podcasting, like I think more YouTube is more important. So I started adding YouTube to the podcast platform. And so then I started making YouTube videos, but for the longest time, I kind of like neglected it. Like I was like, no, I'm just going to keep it in like audio form for as long as possible, because it's like, I don't want to edit. I don't know how to edit. It made me nervous. Like making thumbnails, like putting my face on camera, like kind of made me nervous. And then when COVID happened, obviously we had a lot of time to think. And unfortunately for me, I destroyed my ankle. Again, I pressed the mic. I apologize. I destroyed my ankle and like broke it completely, like to the point where I had to have surgery on it. And so I had a lot of downtime, and it was kind of a tough period in my life because I broke up with my only girlfriend, my long-term relationship at that point. And then I broke my ankle, and I was not in a good place, like at all mentally. And we had a lot of complications with that surgery too. I had to have multiple surgeries. Ankle's doing pretty good, but like, and so in the midst of kind of being in a dark period of my life where I used food a lot as coping. So I was a lot fitter. I still like relatively fit, but I was leaner. And so I had coped a lot with food during that time. I used food as a coping mechanism. And so I decided, like, you know what, I have all this time. Like I was kind of, weirdly enough, I was upset with myself. So I was like, you know what, let's like dopamine hit myself and learn YouTube videos and build clout. Again, that's my thought process. And so then I started making the YouTube videos for the podcast because I wanted to build clouds. And so then I kind of made my own channel in that sense through the podcast. Even did like bits during that podcast about Sounders, Chelsea, Iran. Those are my teams. That was mainly the stuff I talked about on the podcast. And so then fast forward a little bit more, kind of just focus purely just on YouTube, still under that podcast name, Next Generation Football. And then I decided, you know what, why don't I just make a Sounders dedicated channel? This was in 2022, because at 2021, that's when fans are allowed back into stadiums. I went to England. I always wanted to go to the Prem. I had so much money saved up, and I was like, you know what, let's just go. I feel like this is a good time now to go to England. Prices are still low. People are still like, we're getting back to normalcy. And so I went, and on one of the games, I went to so many Premier League games. That's all you pretty much do in England. No offense to England, but there isn't too much to do, and football is kind of the big thing for me. I went to Manchester City Arsenal on New Year's, and as we all know, I'm a Chelsea fan. So I was like, I don't know. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'm not a City fan. You know what? I brought my Zulily, Jimi Hendrix, Rui Diaz jersey. I'll wear that to the game. I know I won't get beat up or no one will give a shit if I'm wearing that jersey. And I remember the buddy of mine that took me to the game, he was like, oh, dude, let's stick around post-game for AFTV. And I was like, heck yeah. Like, I grew up watching, like, AFTV, the Irish guy, KSI, Nepenthes, like, all these soccer creators you guys can think of, I watched them. Those guys were all part of my childhood. And I was always a big fan of just listening to people talk about the sport. So I was like watching AFTV, and then we got a chance. Don Robbie asked us before we recorded, like, hey, can I throw you into this bit? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. And I was like, you know what, like, F it. Like, let's say a funny thing. Sorry, Mike. I'm gonna stop doing that. Maybe let's scoot back a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Let's just say like a funny bit. Let's say something funny. I'm wearing the Sounders jersey. And so then I said that bit and went super viral in the Sounders community, super duper viral. And so when I came back, I was like, you know what? I have a face that people recognize because of that bit. Not saying I'm famous. That's not what I mean. But, you know, kind of had a little bit of an in. And I feel like there was a gaping hole in Sounders media content. I was like, you know, no one really does like YouTube. No one really has like a Instagram page and things like that. Like we were kind of unky when it came to the media. And so I was like, you know what, let's start it. Let's do a fan channel like AFTV. Not the same exact thing, but you know, has similarities. There was already other MLS channels that kind of had fan channels. Like, let's start one for the Sounders. And so then I had a team originally when we started it. And looking back, this is the craziest part. If you guys ever like look back at the original videos, oh my God, the lighting trash, the webcam trash, like microphone trash, like, oh my God. And I think that's such a crazy thing to look back on. Also how I looked, the haircuts and stuff I had, oh man, low-key cringy, but that's part of growing. And I think that's kind of like the coolest part about all of this with making content when you start to where you are now. And it's just like, you see that improvement, kind of like when you work out and you get in shape, and like, it's kind of cool to look back on. I think it's a little cringy, but it's cool to look back on. And so, you know, fast forward, the channel starts kind of making a name for itself. Like people around Sounders, like media, players, coaching staff. I mean, there was even the iconic clip, if you guys remember, from one of the OG vlogs of Brian being like, oh yeah, you're Rave Green TV. And like, I watch your video, this and that. And like players follow the page, reach out to me. I talk to players. I become friends with players, build rapport with them. And it's crazy, good and bad. Like there's been good stuff. There's been bad stuff. And in the beginning, it was tough to deal with the bad stuff because like I've never dealt with that. Like I've never dealt with people giving me hate like that online. And in the beginning it was tough. Don't get me wrong, it was not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but like I've learned more and more, and I think this has been like one of the biggest blessings in disguises. Is like it's helped me grow up in a sense. Like not everyone's going to love you. Not everyone's going to love your opinions. As long as you're true to yourself, you put your opinions out, you try your best, I think yeah, people are going to love and hate you. That's just how it is. And I've learned to kind of like, you know, it's just part of life. It's not just in this content space, it's with everything you do. So I think that's helped build a side of me that I don't think I would have ever built if I didn't start doing this stuff. And good and bad, we've gone to kind of this point on the channel where yeah, like we're one of the main platforms. Like we've revolutionized. I've been fortunate enough to revolutionize Sounders media. Now we're seeing all people trying to do the same things like that I've done. YouTube channels, Instagram pages, Twitter accounts. Like it's cool to think like I was a pioneer in something in a sense. Like, and I think that's really cool. Like in good or bad, if people want to do their own spin-offs and say like, oh, well, like my channel's trash and whatnot, at the end of the day, like I was the first one to do it. And I think that's so great to look back on and to know that, dang, like I changed the game a bit. And so I think that's like awesome in a sense. And so I guess when it kind of like comes to like the channel now and things like that, obviously like content during the off season has been pretty slow. The recent video with Danny was awesome. I'm so glad. Like, I think that's one underrated part about this was it's cool to try and do the things that I grew up watching. Like, for example, like the video I did with Dylan and Danny. Like, I love watching Chris MD for the longest time. And I loved watching like FIFA YouTubers do Ultimate Team stuff. But like, I was always like, damn, I'm like a Sounders fan. So I want to see some like Sounders love in this. And so it's cool that I can do like rating reactions or looking back on foot cards and like even the possibility of, I don't think I'll ever do Sounder stuff, but you know, the door is always there. And so that's always cool that I can make stuff like that. And like recently I'm like as we all can see, I'm like a football shirt junkie now. That's like the only thing I spend my money on outside of saving my money. I just spend it on that or on this channel. And so doing that based on like the shirt shopping series that Classic Football Shirts does with Away Days Ellis, it was cool to do, but my goodness, oh, you guys don't understand the headaches it is sometimes to coordinate videos with players. So with that video in particular, to give you guys kind of like a little insight, and then I'll get back to like the future of this channel. That was a tricky one because I was in Europe. I was doing a vacation between like England, Greece, and then Cyprus. I went there as well. We recorded that video. I was gone for the first 2 games of the playoff series against Minnesota. And I got back right before the 3rd game. And so I was trying to coordinate like 2 days when I came back, not even, maybe even a day. We recorded that video. So I was still jet lagged, kind of tired, kind of nervous. Like I'm not perfect when it comes to this content stuff. And you have to piece a lot of things together like a puzzle, like a videographer, a photographer, how you want to do it, an outline, who's going to do this, who's going to edit that. And so there's a lot of pieces, especially coordinating with the players. Oh God, it's so difficult. These guys can sometimes be very difficult to work with. And originally, actually, I was planning on doing the video with Georgie. Unfortunately, he had some stuff come up where he didn't have the free time to do it, but it was looking like I was going to do it with him. Then I asked 2 other players to do it, and unfortunately didn't pan out with them. So then I asked Danny, and I hate to make it sound like that, but it's not like in a bad way. It's just because I had Danny on for a video previously, so I wanted to get like a different player. But Danny was down to do it, but it was very difficult coordinating a time with him. Sometimes these players, man, like they're so bad at responding, but like they're on their phones. This is one thing you'll learn. It's not just with Sounders, just footballers in general. They can be a little boring in a sense of like they don't do outside of the soccer, outside of the footy. They don't really do much. I mean, obviously some players have families and stuff, so that's different, but like people more of our age, with not even just Sounders players I've experienced it, I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of players in these last couple of years and like do like content or whatever, hang out and things like that with them. Man, sometimes it can be a little boring, but these guys are obsessed with Instagram. They are on Instagram all the time. If you don't think they see your comments, they 100% see your comments. That is like one of my biggest takeaways from what I've learned personally. And so we coordinated kind of last minute. The videographer I had dropped out, like, again, last minute. J. Ross was really nice enough to come in and help out. And that's always the tough part is when it comes to doing this stuff, like hiring people and things like that. Like I'm putting my own money into it. And sometimes that's scary because these things are not cheap. And so J. Ross was nice enough to do it. And it's kind of like a DIY, do it yourself. So it was kind of like a homemade. And we did our best to make it as good as possible. Obviously, it won't be just like away days or Chris MD's videos, but you try your best. And I think people that truly understand that, like appreciate that, the attempt, and hopefully again, more and more you grow, the more assets and accessibility you end up having, bigger platform you have, you can maybe have more flexibility with those things. And so J. Ross was nice enough to do it. My current girlfriend was nice enough to do the photography work. I ended up, was actually looking, funnily enough, another side story. I was gonna look for an editor to edit it because I was trying to work on other videos on the channel. And then I actually had a person, his name's Cole, shout out Cole, who actually wanted to be a part of the team and really loved everything we did. He reached out to me, and I ended up having him edit the video, and he's not like, we've talked a lot since then, and he's gonna be kind of like my right-hand man in a sense. Like we've actually clicked a lot. He's a great video editor, as you all saw. And yeah, like he's gonna become a big part of this channel, I hope. And yeah, shout out to Cole if you're watching this. Yeah, he great addition, new addition to the channel. He edited it, we put it out. Unfortunately, one other side note to that with Cole, unfortunately, J. Ross and Brody have kind of, it's not a bad thing. We're all still friends and whatnot, but they're kind of like steering in another direction with what they want to do. And so we're probably not going to see them back on the channel. I think maybe we might see Brody make a cameo. Maybe we'll see what happens, but that's kind of just how this thing goes. Unfortunately, with content, people come, people go. I was happy to help kind of build that experience for them in the content field. That was like one of the big pluses. And so, yeah, that was something I was going to bring up. Might as well just bring it up now with how they're probably, yeah, they're doing their own thing now. So it's kind of just back to me, but it's really cool. We have a new guy helping out with the channel and being a guy on the channel. And if you guys ever see him in maybe a future video, you guys know what's up. It's cool. And so that was definitely a very cool experience. That was awesome. And then crazy part was too, he ended up leaving, Danny. So bonkers in that sense, that ended up happening. But in regards to the future of the channel, as I said, it's pretty much back to me. Cole said he's going to help out. We do have a few. We're cooking up some small stuff, but this is kind of the big thing I wanted to get off my chest and be transparent with you all is with the channel, I think content's going to slow down. Not saying Rave Green TV is done, anything like that, but I think my priorities have really changed a lot with the channel and with what I want to do with my life. The unfortunate part is money plays a factor in everything, and the amount of time I spend, I feel like I spend more time, maybe I do actually, on my content in general and with this channel than I do even with my 9 to 5. And as you all know, I work 9 to 5, the American dream. And so it can get really tough juggling that with this, working out, you know, girlfriend, parents, and all those things. And I've had to make changes in my life. I mean, talking about like the older videos, like I don't know if you guys remember, I used to have like 2 different setups because I would live with my mom and with my dad. And in the last year, I made that decision of just living with my dad. And because it became such like, you know, when you're working, you have all these other responsibilities, it was becoming a lot. And so now you guys have been seeing a lot more. This is it. I live here now permanently. But at the same time too, I want to be able to move out and have that income and, you know, set some time aside to make that happen. You know, I'm 25 now, and so I have to make these big boy decisions. You know, I got a daddy up in a sense, and so I kind of want to prioritize those things. And unfortunately, that means I will have to put this channel a little bit more on the back burner. Unfortunately, I don't know how other way to put it, how else to put it. Can't sugarcoat it. I will have, like, the content's going to change a little bit. It's not going to, we're not going to be able to do as much videos on the channel like I used to. Like, think about it 2-3 years ago when I started the channel, I was covering every single game. Don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I can go live after every single game. I might not even be able to go live as often as I want. I will try to prioritize like big stuff. I'll try my best to make that happen. And again, Rave Green TV is not going anywhere. It's still going to be here, but things are going to slow down. I'm unfortunately want to prioritize my personal channel. If you guys, I think some of you might be subscribed to, it's literally just my name. I might throw a link in the comments. If you guys want to check it out, subscribe to it, support me there. I want to prioritize that leading up to the World Cup. Prioritize. I think I might have accidentally kind of slurred my word there. Because I feel like my passions have changed. I think with Sounders stuff, I think things have kind of dried up with the Sounders, and I don't want to be like negative, but my passions and my priorities have changed with Sounders. Like, as I said, I canceled my season tickets last year. Like, going to games is even tough, especially when you start working full time and like you only have 2 days off, and like you spend one of those going to a Sounders game. You only have 1 day to have, like, relax, you know, do your laundry, meal prep for the week, and like all these things, and people that you want to hang out with. And so it's getting tough to watch games, really. Like, it is a little more convenient when I get to watch them at home, but as well, like doing content, like staying up late. A big thing I want to start doing is like prioritizing my fitness. So when I told you guys how I broke my ankle and like I used eating as a coping mechanism, I gained like not a lot of weight, but I'm not in the shape I used to be. And I feel like I've put that a lot on the back burner for this content, for the channel. And I really, really want to prioritize that. Prioritizing this World Cup because I'm very passionate about like the Iranian national team. That's always gonna be my first love. I mean, I'm Iranian, and that's just, I don't know, it's what the heart wants. And so I really want to go like balls to the wall, full throttle with my personal channel and really seeing how much I can maximize it. And I feel like I've had more opportunities with content on my personal channel. I still think I've had a lot of opportunities even with this channel, but unfortunately it's tough with like the lack of accessibility like Sounders Media has. I know a lot of you have commented being like, why don't you just get media pass and stuff? I just feel I've never wanted that. I want this to be like organic, like from a fan. Like, as if I get media passes, I am under that Sounders umbrella. Like, if I say one wrong thing, I probably could get them revoked or do one wrong thing. I want this to come like from a fan to a fan. Like, I don't want this to be like fluffed. I don't want this. I just don't want any of that. I want this to feel authentic from a fan to a fan. That's why I always say this is coming from fans to fans. And I feel like that's the angle I've always wanted. I don't want to be like a guinea pig or someone that's reliant on Sounders Media. And like, this is another story I want to tell you guys is like, there was an instance where I talked with Sounders Media where there was a chance of them giving me the opportunities to do stuff with players. Like I proposed them like, hey, I want to just do like small bits. It was nothing crazy. I didn't want credentials. It was nothing like that. But be like, hey, like I have some great ideas. Do like some small short form content. Give like more like, you know, depth to the players, kind of learn more about them. I don't feel like we really have that. Again, I'm just trying to, I want to bring something that Sounders fans don't have. That's why I did the shirt shopping video, the football challenge video with Sounders. Like, when do we see that type of stuff? Never. And so that was always my goal, is to fill these gaping holes that I want to showcase for the beautiful fans that we have, the craved football fans that we have. And, you know, we were in touch with each other and like 10 emails went by, no response. They call me back, but then they didn't get, they're like, wait after this, wait after sees and then like, and I'm just kind of like, at this point, like I kind of get the point, like this is not going to happen. So it's like, I'm not going to go on my hands and knees and beg you guys for this. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so yeah, after that, like I just kind of took matters into my own hands. I think again, that's another learning part of life. Just players follow the page. I've have connections with some of the players. Like I'll just reach out to them if I want to. And if they're down, they're down. If they're not, they're not. It's not like the player content makes or breaks it. I mean, I'm putting my own time, money into it. So it's always just a bonus in a sense. And so, unfortunately, as I said, I do want to prioritize kind of like that, my personal channel. Like I said, I just think that's where my passion more so lies now. And just kind of like my overall, you know, growing in life. Like I got to start thinking about moving out. I got to start thinking about making more money, finding better jobs, putting time towards those things. My fitness is a big thing for me. Like, you know, things compound. So like I said, you know, being up late, doing content for games, like getting good quality sleep, putting time aside to go to the gym, focusing on my diet. I think these have become priorities at this point in my life, more so than focusing on putting all my time into making content on this channel. And so for me, I want to put more time into that, and maybe as well, like spending more time with my parents and being more so a part of like their lives, because they're getting older and I want to help them as much as I can. And as well, being in a relationship, giving the significant other, you know, the right portion of time, not being preoccupied with certain things. So unfortunately, I just have to make that sacrifice of putting less time into this stuff. Content will still be there. I have some ideas out there, but unfortunately, I don't think Rave Green TV will be as much of a priority as it was in previous years. I think it will be more of like a quality over quantity. So like if there's ever like big news that comes out, I definitely want to talk about it. We've built such a great community that I would love to, but I don't think we're going to see as much consistent content where I'm covering a lot more games. I'm talking about a lot of stuff, but it's more so when there's big stuff that happens, I will try to be there to talk about it. But I think if I were to put more of my time into content, I want it to be on my personal channel. I want to focus on that upcoming World Cup. I want to see if I can maximize my channel as much as possible. So again, I would love if you guys could support me on there. I know it's not Sounders related, but football's football. So, and like in a sense, like I would love if my passion for like Iran and Asian football can be spread to you guys. Like I would love that. Like you guys become a fan of the Iranian national team because of me. Like that would be like, I don't know, awesome to hear things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the whole spiel I have for this video. I do have a few things planned for the offseason. There isn't much movement either. We haven't really seen much from the Sounders. I don't think we're going to see much at all, really. Like I've said in numerous videos, I think we've kind of, with all of our DPs being filled, not much roster flexibility, I don't think we're going to see really anything happen for the Sounders. But regardless, I will obviously try to do something if something big does happen. I definitely want to do like going through my Sounders jerseys. Like I want to do like a video. It's going to be a different point of view. Probably use this as the backdrop and just be like, you know, like going through my collection for Sounders jerseys in specific. I'll probably do like the whole thing on my personal channel, but Sounders specifically, I think that's one piece of content. I might record that very soon and have that out as like just a fun off-season piece of content. But nothing really else planned outside of the stuff Cole and I have cooking up, and really happy to have someone like Cole on board. Definitely will help for future bigger videos for sure. Just having kind of like that right-hand man, like the Batman and Robin type duo. So yeah, this is a long video. It was a big yapper video, and I hope you guys like appreciated this type of content, this type of video. I know it's something really different, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I was very transparent, and you know, it makes me a little nervous putting a lot of my life out there, but as I said, we've built a really cool community where, and a part of me feels okay with talking to you guys and being transparent with you all and being honest with you all about how I feel about things and where I stand with things. And I just feel like the passion is kind of dried up a little bit for me. I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years, and you get older and your priorities change, and I hope you guys can understand that. Channel's not going anywhere though. Just things will be slowing down a little bit, sadly. But that's, who knows? Again, it will always be here, and maybe things pick up. Maybe we hit 3,000 subscribers at the end of 2026. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this, my TED Talk, my conversation with you all, just like a heart to heart with you all. And I really appreciate you all for watching. Drop your guys' thoughts on everything we talked about in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I hope you'll have a lovely day.